Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Stack. We've got the beautiful St James's Park in the background. It's not a green screen. We are genuine here. There's a piece of wood there. I've got Joe with us. Obviously, we have slightly neglected the women's podcast because I've been gallivanting around the world and we've both been busy. But we're back. It's pre-season. We're going to talk about the pre-season so far, some of the signings, a couple of stuff off the pitch with announcement of a training centre, and of course what's going on with the head of operations job that we've seen advertised. And we'll also hear quite a bit from Becky from the press conference from last week, so we'll be getting clips from her. So Joe, I want to jump straight into a pre-season. Obviously there's been a couple of good performances in there, especially I think Bayern Munich springs to mind. I know it's not the full Bayern Munich side, and slightly disappointing 1-1 draw, but I don't really take results into matter of Middlesbrough. We looked like, judging to the match report, we battered Middlesbrough. We say Middlesbrough. It's basically Newcastle B. And then obviously the disappointing results against Atletico Madrid here last week, but that was to be expected. They're a Champions League team. I think we played another one as well, haven't we? Behind closed doors. Forest.
Yeah.
And Becky Langley, we'll hear from her in a second, but Becky has said there's a couple more to come as we're still a few weeks away from the first game of the season. But what do you get from this? Because obviously there's a lot of development players under 21s also mixing in. Is it a case of Becky's just tweaking formations, seeing what a stronger side is, or just still need more signings to come in?
I think she definitely needs more signings to come in. For me, one of the big things is, yes, we've had good performances, but if she's bringing in loads of the youth players, it worries me that she's seeing a problem with depth. And that's one of the main things that I'm taking away from pre-season at the moment. You look at the last couple of seasons, and one thing the lasses have not suffered from is signings and depth. Where at this point right now, I think the depth is a little bit of a worry. I think we've got a slight drop off in quality. We know how difficult the Championship is, or WSL2 if you would, which I am refusing this season to call it the WSL2.
I bet you do.
I'm trying not to. I'm doing my best. If it is, we'll put a pound in a pot every time I call it that first time. So I think that's one way we know this is an extremely competitive league. In my eyes, I think this is the most competitive women's league in England right now. It's even more competitive than the WSL. You know, you've kind of got straight up winners there. And if you're looking at bringing development players into this league, it's few and far between. You're going to get your Jasmine McQuaid's, and even Jasmine McQuaid I felt was a little bit out of place last season, and she wasn't quite the Jasmine McQuaid we all recognised. Not as much flourish. Her confidence maybe took a slight knock to the higher rate of players who she was playing against, and I'm not no slight to Jasmine McQuaid, by the way. I think she's handled herself brilliantly for her age and for how recently she's come up from the development squad, and she's been brilliant, but it's few and far between that we're going to find players like that. Yes, Ava Chapman does look very, very, very promising, but I still think it's too soon to start bringing her in against some of the teams that we're going to be going against and some of the calibre of players that we're going to be going against next season. So it is a bit of a worry. I think overall, one of the big things that she needs to focus on is, regardless if it's been the B team or not, Bayern Munich is a great result. We've travelled over to their facilities. We've been to train at their facilities. We've been able to really, really, really give a good shot. And although it wasn't the full first team, there was a few first team players in there by the looks of it. And do you know what? That says things, because when you get to that level of women's football, one or two players really can make the difference. You know, like you look at Bonmati. Bonmati was one of the big reasons that Barcelona started turning around and becoming as amazing as they are, and players wanted to come to that squad to play with her. And it's the same when you get like a Bayern Munich. So I think the lasses have had a better pre-season than the men, shall we say. And it's been good showing, but I think the main worry right now is depth, and we need some more players in. Although there has been some great signings so far, we need a bit more of that.
Yeah, we'll come to them signings in a moment. I've heard that word before, squad depth. That might have been mentioned once or twice with the men, just a bit the past week or so. So let's take a break from Joe and myself. Let's hear what Becky said about pre-season in the presser the other day.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, I think it's 29 days till we actually kick off against Forest at the City Ground. So we've got some time to go. I would say we're probably 50% of the way there in terms of what we can keep improving on and get to that next level. I think we've not seen the best of us yet across the pre-season, but what I will say is the game against Bayern for the first game was a really good starting point to then build on. It was an exciting one. So I think there's levels we can really produce as a group in the next couple of weeks. And then the pre-season, there's some good tests at a similar level to us in terms of we've got Forest, we've got Ipswich, we've got a few other behind closed doors friendlies to ensure that we are we are looking to keep progressing.
So that was Becky. We'll hear more from her as the pod goes on. If you want to see the full presser, that's on our main channel, Newcastle Fans TV. It's about 12 minutes long or so. Good press conference. So for me, just before we move on, the Atletico Madrid one was the first time that anyone publicly seen the squad. But for me, it wasn't a case of the lasses didn't do well. I think it's a case of the opposition was just, you could tell, the opposition was just on another level. Champions League. The lasses struggled, let's be honest, but I'm not going to read too much into that because this is almost a full strength Atleti side. Whereas you mentioned just before we heard from Becky, that was more that a rotated. A lot of the players were still in the Euros, having rests and stuff. But it was just good to be back on it because I know it's not the proper stuff, but the Seller Cup last weekend, it was just good to be back for a lot of the fans because it's a long wait when the season ends until the season starts. It's not like the men where it's 2 months. The women's is like nearly 5, isn't it?
It is, and it's horrible. And you've got that long winter break as well. You know, you come off the back of the winter break, which is about a month. And then you've got about, say, because of the size of the league, last season you had about, maybe 6-7 weeks of games and then into the summer break. And like you say, that summer break's huge. So it is nice to be back. I know a lot of people were really, really chuffed about being able to see the lasses play, seeing a lot of the players for the first time out on the pitch. Even if it was against Atletico, I'm trying to pronounce that second part, feminine.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced feminine.
Atletico Femin. Anyways, going against them, it's a great challenge for them. And yes, it's been the first loss at St James's Park. Is that because Georgia Gibson wasn't in the squad?
Can I put an asterisk next to it? We're still unbeaten competitively, though.
Competitively at St James's Park, Newcastle are still unbeaten. That was a pre-season, so technically it doesn't count. The Undertaker lost it everywhere but WrestleMania for 20 odd years, and his streak still continued. So certainly enough, our streak can still continue.
Other real sports are available.
You know, got a little bit of wrestling. But no, I think for me, it's just nice to see we're back. I know there was a little bit of debacle about like how they'd organised the matches and how there wasn't as big of a crowd at the women. And look, yous can bitch and moan as much as you want about there not being a big enough crowd, and let's try and get this many in, and let's try and do this, and let's try and do that. At the end of the day, women's football's on the rise. It's building. It's getting bigger. In 10 years' time, the chances are we do that same match at St James's Park or at Leazes Park, whatever the stadium may be in 10 years' time. Maybe we've got one stadium, it'll fill out. Do you know, like, you've got to give it that time, and it's just a natural process of that, and I don't think you need to look too much at the crowd. The lasses know the backing that they've got from the fans, whether that's going to be at Kingston Park, whether that's at Gateshead Stadium, whether that's up and down the country. They know they've got a phenomenal backing and probably one of the best fan bases in all of women's football, not just say in England. So don't worry too much about the attendances at St James's Park. Just keep on backing the lasses as best as you can, and let's hope that we can go out and we can have a phenomenal season. Really, you know, it's one of those. It's hard to go against them teams, but it's the type of challenges that Becky Langley wants now, and she wants to learn. And let's face it, when you're losing 2-0 to a team like Atletico, you've got to get a lot of learning from that, and there's going to be a lot of lessons to be taught to the girls, and that's exactly what we want. So it's the right direction.
Yeah, and obviously I think she wasn't too disheartened because it's a quality team. Look, she doesn't like losing. We know that off the record. Mm-hmm. And she just tried again. Stop doing it.
I'm sorry.
She needs to stop saying that to her, man. We're fans at the end of the day. We'll support you, man. Look, we know it was a tough opposition, and you learn more from a loss. You learn more, because if Becky was saying in the presser, we're not going to show that clip, but Becky was saying, what's the point in playing tier 4 teams where we're battling 4 or 5-0? There was no learning in that. So, but I do want to move on. Drop us a like, help us out. The new signings, we are expecting, you'll hear from Becky about some potential new ones because she wants more in, but 5 in through the door. We're still a little bit, as you mentioned, squad depth. We're still a little bit light. We could still sign 5 or 6 more to fill the 25 women squad. Out of those 5 signings, who excites you?
Molly Pike.
Same.
It's one of those where Molly's got a great bit of experience under her. And look, many people in the Newcastle United Women's Supporters Group understand that I'm not exactly the biggest Jordan Nobbs fan right now. And it's not about the player herself, it's just age. I think we need to be looking at younger players. We need to be looking at players, point in case, like Molly Pike. She is great. She is going to be another Emily Murphy, if you ask me. She's going to come in, she's going to be that game changer, that player that really, really makes an impact from the get-go. Even if she doesn't score a goal or get an assist, she's going to be the one who's going to make the tackles, she's going to make the forward presses, she's going to be the one who really, really makes someone like an Emily Murphy be that little bit better, because now she's got someone of equal quality feeding the balls into her. I think that is something that's going to be huge this season. And at age, personally for me, I think Molly Pike's the one who should be on the 3 or 4 year contract, and she's the one that we need to really back. I would like to think by the end of the season she'll have a few goals under her belt, a fair few assists under her belt, and she will be a player that everyone is dying to get on the back of their shirts at the end of the season, just like Emily Murphy was. It's one of those, imagine if you signed Emily Murphy at the start of last season, how much better would we have done? Well, guess what? We'll find out this season because we've signed Molly Pike at the start of the season, and she is going to have this whole season to play, to excel, to grow, to become something phenomenal. I'm really excited for her.
I was buzzing when they announced it. The game against Atleti, she was just literally playing off the striker, so hopefully she's got that licence to stay forward and grab goals, because she ripped us apart last season, especially down in Southampton. Aoife Mannion's a good Cooper, I think, she's played for both the Manchester clubs. She played right back against Atletico, and she can play as centre back. Quality, no nonsense. I think that's a great addition to our back line. Obviously, we've got Grosha coming from Dijon in League 1, and she's come over. She's dropping a tier down, so that's again promising. Obviously, she's Becky was saying, we'll hear from Becky in a minute about obviously learning to settle in, because I think the rest are fine. Jordan Nobbs is best pals of Debbie Stokes, so she'll be fine. I think Jordan Nobbs will give her quality. I think it's something that later on the season we'll appreciate her more. I think it's just got a massive cloud around it, and I want to move on from the whole, because we knew that she was treated appallingly with Amber. We know the story. We don't have to keep bringing it up, but I think that needs to move on now. We'll support her because I think she'll bring leadership. I've missed one off. Who have I missed off?
Gregor, Molly Pike.
I missed one off. I'm sure there was. We'll come back to that, but we'll hear from Becky about the plans for recruitment. Yeah, she is.
To be honest, number of positions I think we want to keep strengthening. We've spoken a lot about, we want to make sure the spine of the team is really important. So right through from goalkeepers to midfielders, right through to our number 9. So we're quite ambitious in looking across the market, across all positions, if I'm honest. But we definitely need to keep working to ensure that spine is really strong.
Right, so that was Becky. The player that we were thinking of was Gemma Purfield, because she didn't play against Atletico. Again, another one who's experienced in this division, playing a couple of positions. So very exciting. Is there any way you would like to see strengthen, and not in terms of players, position-wise?
Striker. I'd like another striker, and I've said this about... I want a striker who makes a visual impact. Now, look, Heels is amazing. She is phenomenal at what she does. No doubt about that. But she's a sneaky striker. She's one of those strikers who sneaks up behind a defender and pops in and knocks a goal in. And it matters when she puts a goal over the line. I want a flashy striker, almost as if to say his name, but like an Alexander Isak for the lasses, someone who can take the ball from a midfield, run with it, and either play the ball into the path of an Emily Murphy or a Freya Gregory or a Beth Lumsden, or who can actually go all the way and finish the job herself. I want that impact striker. That is what I want for the club. I think a winger. I think we're very thin on it. Yes, we're having. There's where I want to look at depth, right? And there's where I think we need a winger. Do we need a first team winger? No, we've got that. We've got Emily Murphy, Freya Gregory, and Beth Lumsden. After that, where do we look realistically for a winger to come on as a substitute, or say one of them 3 gets injured, all of a sudden they haven't got backup and they're being expected to play 90 minutes every game. It's not ideal. So I would like, definitely I agree with you there, Lee. I would like a winger, and ideally I would like another goalkeeper in.
Do you want a young keeper though?
Yes, I want someone who we can grow with, someone who can sort of be led by Claudia and Hannah, and who can really be taken under the wing and maybe appear in a couple of League Cup games or something like that, give her a chance where she can. And yeah, this is what kind of shocked me for the likes of an Elle Valentine. I really thought Valentine would have stayed and we would have put her in that position of learning and growing into being with number 1 eventually, so we don't have to look maybe 2-3 years down the line, right, we need to replace Claudia Moon now and we need to replace Hannah. Oh my God, we've got a big goalkeeper problem. I don't want that to happen. Goalkeeper, winger, probably right-sided, and a striker. I'm happy with midfield and defence at the moment.
Right, let's hear from Becky, because there was an announcement which wasn't really pushed out massively by the club. Becky did an interview with the club about a new training centre, dedicated training centre for Newcastle United. Becky, it's all yours.
Yeah, so the technical advancements and stuff the club's put into the existing facility of where we're moving, we're all kind of on and now nice geography in terms of the men's first team being at Benton, the academy being on their site, and us being 5 minutes away now is really important for us as a club. And yeah, the club's commitment to financially back, 3 grass pitches for the players, a new advanced gym, a space for the girls on and off pitch, I think is fantastic. In terms of what it will do, it'll help us advance what we're doing. When we were playing on 3G on that artificial turf last year, it stops the style of play you want to play, because you can't be ball dominant, because you can't keep the ball on that type of pitch. There's too many bobbles. It's not smooth enough to play on. So it was a very transitional game we played last season. So I would hope from that training facility we'll be able to work on a lot more things in terms of our ball dominance. But yeah, it's a much better environment for us to work in, because it's the sole focus is on us in that environment, and not having to kind of work with another team to share gym slots and other things that logistically become a problem. But I will say, obviously, the Falcons, when we worked with the rugby team, they work well with us in terms of that, so they only have my respect for the last couple of years, and we just got to look to keep striving forward, and Gateshead will be a really good opportunity to play our games there as well.
So thank you very much. So this is really exciting, Joe. So from what we gather then, because it's really important to remember that the devs, the under-21s, are now full-time as well. So we've got 2 full-time women's teams, which is really, really good. So it's really exciting that we have that. So they'll be training probably on separate pitches, but using the same building. The location hasn't been revealed yet, but they're moving into a location where they will be upgrading the facilities, and they're going to have 3 pitches, Becky said there, their own gym room, their own analyst room, meeting rooms, etc., etc., etc. Probably their own kitchen. This is a real positive, and I don't get why it's not being pushed out more.
I know there should be banner tapes and everything. This should be a really big announcement, because
It's positive for PIF as well.
Exactly, it's huge. It's good. You take away what it is for the lasses, it's great publicity for the club and for PIF, because everyone all knows all the bad news around PIF and all that. We don't have to talk about that. And this is a point of where, look at them, they're investing in women. They're investing in the women's game, and they're not just investing by bringing players in. They're now building a brand new training facility with probably modern. You think if it gets done in this next year, the lasses are probably going to have a better training facility than the lads. That's not going to go down well out there, is it? Ooh, the lasses have got, the lasses getting more. Not, and do you know what it is? That's the right direction. You look at Man City and look at their setup down there around the Etihad. They've got the women's stadium, the Joey Stadium, I believe it is. They've got their own training facility right next to that. They share training facilities with the lads at times. They do training sessions with the lads. That is the integration we need to happen up here. That is exactly what I think it's not just the right step, it's a massive leap in the right direction. What's next? A stadium. A couple of years down the line, the lasses with their own 10,000 to 15,000 seater stadium. It doesn't seem unbelievable now that they've got their own training facility. It doesn't seem out the far-fetched now. It doesn't.
He has some audio changes because we've had to reduce the music in the background. But
she totally caught me off guard there when she started singing, so I started stuttering. I was like, whoop, okay.
So if you see how a slight change because we had to block out the background music. Look, I think it's fantastic. And Becky was saying there, it's a positive, look it is, but it's 3 locations where we've got the first team, the academy, and then you've got the women. Long term, you want that all as one, for me. A bit like Man City was saying. That's their long-term goal, but look, it's massive news. It's huge news, and it should be pushed out a lot more because it is a positive. And let's talk about positivity, because men and women, especially with the stadium change, is such a negativity vibe going to Gateshead. And we were there the other night for the under-21s, and you've got to sit 10 rows up to see a good view, and it's not the worst view. It's just a little bit far out. I don't want to get on with the Gateshead Stadium because we've talked about it. But let's keep this positive. And the training centre is huge because, again, the under-21s have gone full-time, which is really, really important. So it is fantastic. And last thing before we talk about the head of operations, Becky wanted to talk about going back to Nottingham Forest. Dale asked that question because that is the first fixture for the lasses in a few weeks. Becky, it's all yours.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a soft spot for Forest as a club because I worked with them for a few years, and we had some great memories there, obviously, when we played there in Tier 3 and we won 1-0, and it was an amazing afternoon at the City Ground that day. So it's a special place I like going to, and really looking forward to a good contest. I think they'll probably be in a similar position to what we were last year. New team coming up, very ambitious, got lots of club backing, but again, it'll be a really good opportunity to set the tone for the season.
Right, so that was Becky looking forward to the new season, but We've seen it on LinkedIn the last 24, 48 hours that there's a new head of operations job at Newcastle United Women. What does that mean?
Where's Grace? And we don't mean Donnelly.
Grace Williams was meant to be coming in, and we've seen it with speculation, word of mouth from parents that she said yes or no to certain players staying on. Why is she not announced? Is she not being announced, or?
I think the question is as well, especially with football at this point in time, is it a matter of that head of operations is going to be different to a director of football or a head of talent recruitment? I don't know what is Grace.
Working with Sue? Or?
Yeah, working with Sue. Like, there was some people who said to me that Sue was on her way out of the club, but obviously that's not the case now. So Sue's still here. Sue's doing a job. What job is Sue doing? We know in the past Sue has handled about 16 different roles or something. And I think the only role that Sue hasn't played at Newcastle United Women is actually on the pitch or manager. So what's going on? I don't know. It's strange for me. I think this is one of the positions where, and this goes beyond just the women's club, it's the men's as well at the moment, where the lack of communications to the fans, it's lacking at the minute majorly. And I feel like with football, you've got to be extremely transparent with your fans and tell them as much as you can about what's going on. Otherwise, you'll get this negative wave of we're out the loop, we're not knowing everything. And look, we understand, Lee, we don't need to know every single detail. Give with the little bits and bobs, and we can roll with that. Drip feed if you have to, but the way it's been going on, we just don't have a clue what's going on. And when you find out, when you can go on LinkedIn and look and find out more news about your own club than going on your club's website and finding out, it's not a good look, mate.
Nah,
it's not. So, I mean, again, trying to be positive about it, it looks like we are pushing towards the right position in women's football. We are trying to have a major structure with having a director of head of operations, a director of football for the women's team, and having the women's team have its own dedicated hierarchy and staffing in the offices. That is great, but why? What's going on? What's happened to this person and that person and this person and that person? Tell them more. We need to know more. At least with the men's, I know it's been hard because of the amount of Dan Ashworth, Paul Mitchell, etc., etc., etc. At least we've known what's going on a little bit about the back room, and at the minute we don't. So, I mean, your guess is all as good as what mine is. So, I don't know. It's confusing. It's confusing.
I think also the sporting director for both men and women needs resolved as well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the lasses are signing players. That's never stopped them. But it's still better all round for the club. But there we go then, everyone. We're going to wrap up. Good 25 minutes or so. Obviously, we've heard from Becky a few times. The music's getting louder. I am dripping. It is red hot. Now we've got a glass window behind her, but I hope you've liked the enjoyment of the view behind her. We'll do more women's pods now. We're back from abroad and so on. So stay tuned next week where we'll catch up and do another women's podcast. If you're watching, drop us a like. If you're listening, 5-star this. Thank you very much for Joe. Thank you very much for me, and we'll see you very soon.